The East African Community has deployed an election observation mission to Tanzania ahead of the country's general election on October 29, 2025, amid growing concerns over shrinking political space and an opposition sidelined from the race. The mission, led by Dr. Speciosa Wandira Kazibwe, former Vice President of Uganda and respected advocate for gender equality and public health, was flagged off in Arusha on October 24th. The 67-member team includes experts from across the East African Community partner states, comprising lawmakers, civil society actors, human rights officials, and electoral commission representatives. The East African Community Secretary General Veronica Nduva said observers have been dispatched across the country to monitor campaigns, polling, and results transmission to ensure transparency and credibility. The team will release a preliminary report shortly after the vote, followed by a final assessment with recommendations for future polls. The regional bloc's effort complements similar observer missions from the East African Union, SADC, and the Commonwealth, underscoring East Africa's commitment to democratic norms under Article 6 Clause D of the East African Community Treaty. Despite these assurances, the upcoming election feels less like a contest and more like a coronation for President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is widely expected to secure her first full term in office. The 65-year-old leader and Tanzania's first female president rose to power in 2021 after the sudden death of her predecessor, John Magufuli, whose rule was marked by both anti-corruption zeal and authoritarian repression. Initially hailed as a former reformer, Samia introduced her 4Rs policy, which stands for reconciliation, resilience, reform, and rebuilding, reopening Tanzania to investors and restoring ties with international donors. But optimism has waned. Over the past 2 years, human rights groups and analysts say the government has cracked down harder on dissent than under Magufuli. Reports of abductions, arbitrary arrests, and killings of opposition figures have multiplied. Freedom House, a US-based democracy watchdog, downgraded Tanzania from partly free in 2020 to not free last year. While 17 presidential hopefuls were cleared to run, none pose a serious threat to the ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi, which has won every election since the reintroduction of multi-party politics in 1992. The main opposition party, Chadema, has been barred after its leader, Tundu Lissu, was arrested on treason charges in April following calls for electoral reforms. His deputy was detained last week. The SCT was a Lendo candidate, Luhaga Mpina, seen as the next strongest challenger, was disqualified twice, most recently after the Attorney General appealed his reinstatement. Smaller parties like Showman CUF remain in the race, but analysts say they have little chance of denting Chama cha Mapinduzi's dominance. Still, President Samia retains support among women and rural voters who see her as a stabilizing maternal figure. Her supporters affectionately call her Mama Samia. Others are less convinced, especially the young people who make up the majority of Tanzania's 37.7 million registered voters. Yet many say they are disillusioned or afraid to speak openly about politics. With CCM, insiders say Samia has tightened control. One senior party member, Humphrey Polepole, who questioned her automatic candidacy, was abducted in mysterious circumstances. Analysts claim she's supported and constrained by a powerful network of business and political elites known as Mtandao. The sense of fear is palpable, with state-aligned media muted and open debate rare. Political discourse has largely shifted to private circles and social media. Analysts warn that this growing detachment, especially among young voters, could erode Tanzania's democratic foundations. Low turnout or post-election unrest could test Samia's legitimacy even in victory.